Today I'm not recording our story time in my own house. I'm here in the library. Shh. There's nobody here yet to come see me. No boys and girls coming to check out books yet, but hopefully pretty soon. But I decided I wanted to be here anyway. And maybe you are enjoying getting a little glimpse, trying to remember what it was like here. Maybe one day in the pretty near future, you won't have to just try to remember. You'll be able to actually come back and see. I've got some pretty good stories today, some animal stories, folk tales from other parts of the world. I'm really excited to share them with you. So let's go ahead and get started. How about it? Because there are no other patrons here, no grown-ups to go, shh, I'm allowed to play this in the library. Clap your hands if you love stories, clap your hands, I know you do. I'm so glad that we could be together, glad to share a story time with you. The first story I want to share with you today is about a snake, a mouse, and a coyote. And this story comes from Mexico. And I need your help with this one. Whenever I say mouse, I need you to show me your whiskers and say squeak. Can you do that for me? Squeak. And whenever I say snake, I want you to make a snake with your finger and say psst. That's right. And whenever I say coyote, that one's a little harder. I want you to make coyote ears, and I need you just to howl a little bit, not too much. Here we go. This is actually the rattlesnake, the mouse, and the coyote. So, once upon a time, there was a mouse, squeak, who was running all around the prairie, looking for some food to eat, when suddenly he heard a voice. And the voice was saying, "Help, help, someone help me, please, I'm stuck." And the mouse, squeak, looked around. He looked down on the ground, he looked up in the air, he looked behind the bushes. He just couldn't find anyone. But the voice got louder and louder as he got closer and closer, and then he saw there was a big rock on the ground, and underneath the rock, in a little hole, was a rattlesnake. And all he could see of the rattlesnake was just a little part of its nose sticking out. And the rattlesnake said, "Help me, please. Get me out from underneath of this rock." And the mouse was a little worried because rattlesnakes eat mice. Squeak! But the snake looked so sad and unhappy that the mouse thought, it's the right thing to do. And so the mouse, squeak, pushed on the rock and got behind it and shoved the rock back with its back and pulled and pushed and finally was able to push the rock off of the snake. Do you think the snake was grateful? No. The snake crawled out of that hole and immediately wrapped its tail around the mouse, squeak, and said, "I'm going to eat you." Well, the mouse was very hurt and said, "I saved your life. I got you out from underneath of that rock. You should be grateful." And the snake said, "Rattlesnakes are never grateful." And the mouse was very unhappy about this. He said, "It's not fair. It's just not fair." And the snake said, "Rattlesnakes are not fair." And the mouse, squeak, started to cry. And he honestly thought that that was going to be the end of him. But then he heard another voice. What's going on here? It was Brother Coyote. Ow! Coyote was looking at them, very confused. And he said, "Why Are you crying, Mouse?" I think it's obvious why the mouse was crying, but the mouse said, "Tell me this, Brother Coyote, because you are very, very smart and everyone knows it. I saved the snake from where he was trapped under a rock. Don't you think that he ought to be grateful?" And the snake said, "Rattlesnakes are never grateful and everyone knows it." Now Brother Coyote was, oh, very smart. But he sat back on his haunches and said, "I'm confused. I don't think I understand. Snake, you saved Mouse, squeak, from under a rock?" And Snake said, "No. Mouse, squeak, saved me from being under the rock." And Coyote, ow, said, no, I still don't understand. So the rock was on top of Mouse, and you pushed it off of him?" And Snake said, "No. Mouse, squeak, pushed the rock off of me. And now I'm going to eat him." And Coyote, ow, said, No, that doesn't make any sense. I can't imagine it in my head. Do you think you could show me?" And Snake said, "I thought you were supposed to be smart. Very well, I'll show you." And he let go of Mouse and crawled over to the hole in the ground and curled up in it. And he said, "I was in this hole and the rock was on top of me." And Coyote, ow, said, "Like this?" And he took and he pushed the rock so that it was on top of Snake again. And Snake said, "Yes, just like that." And Coyote, ow, said, I understand now." And Snake said, "Good, finally. Now let me out." And Coyote, ow, said, "I think it should be up to Mouse." And he left. And so did Mouse. Squeak. The end. Okay, we're gonna do a finger play about wiggles, just like snakes, just like in the story. And we're gonna start with our fingers. Can you get your fingers ready? I wiggle my fingers. I wiggle my toes. Wiggle your toes. I wiggle my shoulders. I wiggle my nose. Now no more wiggles are left in me, so I can sit still as can be. Let's try that one more time, okay? I wiggle my fingers. I wiggle my toes. I wiggle my shoulders, and I wiggle my nose. Now no more wiggles are left in me, so I can sit still as can be. You sit still too, plant. My second story is about animals too, and it's about a rabbit and a crab. Now, Rabbit in this story is a bit of a trickster. He's not always truthful, and everyone around knew that Rabbit was not very truthful, and Crab knew it too, but Crab was very forgiving, and he decided that it was always worth giving people second chances. Even when, one day, Rabbit came to him and said, "I have an idea, Crab. Let's work together to grow a great big carrot patch. And when we've grown more carrots than either one of us could do if we were by ourselves, then we'll share them." Crab thought to himself, this is not going to turn out the way he's telling me. But he decided to trust Rabbit anyway. Well, the two of them worked very hard, to grow tons and tons of carrots. They planted the seeds, they watered them, they weeded them, they kept away the bugs and the other animals who tried to nibble on them before they were grown, and before too long, they had a giant patch full of delicious big orange carrots. And they were both very, very hungry and ready to eat. And Rabbit came to the crab one morning, and he said, "I have picked the carrots, I've harvested them, and I've put them in 2 piles so that we can share them." Crab had a funny feeling in his stomach that he knew what was going to happen. And he looked at those piles, and one of them was full of mostly big orange carrots. And the other one seemed like it was just as big, but it was mostly the carrot tops, the leaves, and then some of the smaller carrots that were kind of wrinkly and sad and not nearly as good looking. And of course, that was the pile that Rabbit said was going to go to Crab. He said, "You like carrot tops, don't you, Crab?" And Crab said, "I think it should be this way. I think that one of us should make the piles, and then the other should get to have first pick. That way the person who makes the piles will want both piles to be equal so that they know that they will get a good choice too." Well, of course, Rabbit didn't want to go for that plan. He said, "All right, if you don't want that pile, I have an idea. Let's have a race. Whoever makes it to the piles first from the other side of the forest can pick first." He expected Crab to not like that plan, because of course rabbits are faster than crabs. He expected Crab to say, "That's all right," and just take the pile that he was offered. But Crab was thinking, and he said, "All right, we'll have a race." And so they went to the other side of the forest, and Rabbit, who was feeling a bit cocky, said, "I will even give you a head start. You can have a 5-minute head start through the forest." And Crab said, "No, you know what? You worked very hard picking all of those carrots. You can have the head start." Well, that was just ridiculous. Rabbit didn't need a head start. But Rabbit said, "All right, I'll take the head start." And they said, "On your mark, get set, go." And Rabbit took off, zipping through the forest as fast as he could. Well, what he didn't know, what he didn't realize, is that before he took his first step away from the starting line, Crab reached up with one of his claws and caught hold of the fur of Rabbit's tail. Rabbit couldn't even feel him. And then Crab was flying off behind Rabbit. The faster he went, the more he zipped through the air behind him. And Rabbit sprinted and sprinted and sprinted until he was almost there. And he saw the piles of carrots on the ground, and he started to laugh because he didn't think it was going to be this easy. And he turned around at that point to look back and see how far Crab was behind him. And he looked out into the dust that he had kicked up, and there was no sign of Crab. But when he spun around, Crab let go of his tail and went flying straight to the piles. And Rabbit said, "Crab, Crab, where are you? Are you back there?" And Crab said, "I'm over here." And Rabbit spun around and looked, and there was Crab sitting right next to the big pile of carrots. And he said, "How did you get here so fast?" And Crab said, "Never mind, but a deal is a deal. I made it here first, and I picked this pile." And a deal was a deal, and Rabbit had no choice but to take the carrot tops and sad little carrots home with him. Do you think he learned his lesson? All right, how about we get up and dance? Well, you get up and dance. I'll play the music, but I think that you know this song. We're gonna do the hokey pokey. You know how it goes, right? So even if I'm not getting up and dancing with you, I bet you can do it by yourself. Or go see if mommy or daddy or babysitter or brother or sister or grandma or anyone else in the house can come dance with you. That'll be fun. and I will play along, and I will imagine what you look like, and it'll be great. You ready? You put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your left hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, you put your left foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your head in, you put your head out, you put your head in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your backside in, you put your backside out, you put your backside in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your whole self in, you put your whole self out, you put your whole self in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. Now we just dance. You do the hokey pokey, you do the hokey pokey, you do the hokey pokey. That's what it's all about. Well, that's all I have today. I hope that you liked those stories, and I hope that I'll see you again next week for even more stories. It's going to be April, guys. It's going to be spring. It is spring now, but it's going to feel like spring. I can already see some little blossoms and buds coming out on some of the trees in my yard. Have you seen any yet? And have you heard birds in the morning that are coming back from the south? It's almost time for that weather to be warm enough for us to play outside, much more than we have been. So, let's finish up and then I'll see you next time. For now, let me see you reach for the ceiling. Oh, and touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. Up to your shoulders. Like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more.